so much for joining. As I mentioned, we're here to launch the Business Climate Challenge here in Camden with our consortium partners, who I will introduce a little bit later on. We're really pleased to be joined by colleagues from the GLA and also Bloomberg Associates, as well as Turner & Townsend, who form kind of one part of the programme sort of delivery unit, which will be helping to deliver the Mayor's Business Climate Challenge. So I will get kind of kicked off with kind of just outlining what we're going to be covering today. So it's a quick welcome from me. So my name is Abigail Roberts and I'm the Camden Climate Change Alliance lead. Some of you may be more familiar with Gemma, who was our lead kind of before I stepped into this role, but Gemma will be taking a sabbatical as of the end of this week. So during her absence, I'll be heading up the Alliance and also leading on this project. So quick welcome from me, and then we'll be passing over to Greg at the GLA, as well as Juliana from Bloomberg Associates, and they'll be giving us an outline of the programme. We'll then be looking at kind of more of the technical support and sort of the participant journey for those businesses moving through the BCC, and Maria will be taking us through that from Turner & Townsend. It'll then be back to me just to kind of briefly touch upon some of the funding opportunities available with respect to the Camden Climate Fund. And then we've got about 20 minutes or so where we've got a Q&A session. As you can see, we've got kind of lots of expertise from all the different kind of stakeholders involved with this project. So I would encourage as many questions and we can kind of field those out collectively. I would say during the session, please do submit any questions in the chat function. Gemma will be keeping an eye on those and we'll be revisiting those in the Q&A session. So that should kind of wrap us up then by about 11:30, but we may be finished a bit sooner. So yes, a bit of an intro to the Camden Climate Change Alliance. Many people on the call might be familiar with us. Appreciate the Business Climate Challenge is open to all businesses in Camden, not just members of the Alliance. So I know that we've got some familiar faces on the call, but also a big hello to those new faces and new businesses. So the Alliance is a business network within Camden that was set up in 2008. So it's been running for a good while now. We have over 300 members across many different sectors, and we find that kind of businesses working collectively with third sector, schools, both individually but also collectively on sustainability issues. So we have a really kind of a really sort of wide and kind of variety of organisations that make up the Alliance. And a key part of that is really working with our partners on lots of different projects locally, but also kind of working with those individual partners on kind of more of the carbon reduction efforts. All of that is really kind of sort of governed by our mission, which is essentially to assist members to contribute towards a low emission and low waste Camden, with the aim of improving air quality, mitigating climate change, and also contributing towards a circular economy. So that's sort of our overarching mission that we sort of hold ourselves to and sort of deliver our projects and support underneath. So a little bit on how we assist our members. That's through sort of a variety of schemes and projects. I know many of those on the call have either kind of sort of taken part in annual reporting and carbon certification. We also have the Camden Climate Pledge, which is a framework for businesses to kind of support them across 8 different commitments, and that is with the idea of kind of working towards net zero by 2030. We also provide funding advice, and we have lots of different resources that we signpost businesses to, and part of the network is really about connecting with other businesses, sharing best practice, and kind of delivering inspiring events that sort of can help businesses with their climate ambitions. One of the kind of real focuses recently has been connecting businesses with schools and local communities groups to sort of develop and deliver climate focused projects. And I've included some pictures just here just to give you a bit of a flavour. We've seen some fantastic projects where we've been able to kind of mobilise these projects that otherwise wouldn't have happened, where businesses have either kind of supported financially, or you can see kind of have been involved with sort of school community digs and so on. And we also had a fantastic student event which was funded by businesses within Camden earlier on this year. We do have some more information that we'll be able to share about this project, which is kind of called Climate Connectors. So there'll be more on that to follow soon. But I just kind of wanted to flag that now whilst we've got quite a few people on the call. And as well, not forgetting externally grant funded projects, which sort of lends ourselves to where we are today to talk about the Business Climate Challenge. Just a kind of quick nod to kind of where we're going, plans for 22-23. And again, kind of on the topic of the Business Climate Challenge, that is sort of a key deliverable for us over the next year, and essentially, you know, working with businesses to help retrofit buildings and improve energy efficiency. Again, as I mentioned, Climate Connectors will be another key project where we're really going to be driving sort of linkages and collaborative working between local businesses and local community. And that really feeds into sort of the way that we engage and collaborate with our network, with our members, and we'll be looking at lots of different opportunities to promote circular economy, as well as promote funding through the Camden Climate Fund. Again, sort of, I guess, supporting all of those things is continuing to raise awareness around sort of the climate crisis and what it is, the actions that can be taken, as well as really sort of delivering a programme of events that's accessible to all. And again, in terms of support and services, continuing to grow and develop the network and really kind of foster an environment of best practice and knowledge sharing. Kind of turning our attentions to today, we are absolutely delighted to be a business engagement partner in the Mayor's Business Climate Challenge 2022 project. As many of you may know, being on the call, this is sort of a large-scale decarbonisation project focused at looking at energy efficiency within buildings, and we're really pleased to be working with our consortium partners as part of this project. So we have partnered, well, we have gone into a consortium with Camden Town Unlimited, Euston Town, Central District Alliance, and the Knowledge Quarter to deliver this project in Camden, and collectively we will be recruiting 50 businesses across Camden to participate in the Business Climate Challenge. So that's sort of a brief intro from me. What we're going to do now is pass over to Greg and Juliana, and they're going to talk us through the Business Climate Challenge in a bit more detail, set out the programme. So yeah, over to you guys.
Thanks very much, Abby, and welcome to everyone. It's great to see you all here and interested in the Mayor's Business Climate Challenge. So my name's Greg Shreve. I'm part of the climate and the energy team at the GLA. I'm joined by Juliana, who I'll hand over to shortly, from Bloomberg Associates, who are a pro bono consultancy. They've been excellent in helping us with this round of the Business Climate Challenge and the former pilot, and have done great work in New York, also helping to and internationally engaging businesses with the climate agenda. And also on the call joining us is Joanna Sutton, who was part of the original pilot and will also be taking the programme going forward. If we could move on to the next slide, please, Abby, and the next one. So just briefly, I'll be talking about Business Climate Challenge Scale Up, the programme that we're looking for businesses to join us. Juliana is going to talk a little bit about the pilot that we ran before this, and a bit more about the scale up of this project and how you can, what that looks like. And then later on, we'll be joined by Maria from our project delivery unit to tell you about the onboarding process and more of the details about what that looks like for you as a business joining the Business Climate Challenge. So where this all came out from was the Mayor set the really ambitious and necessary target in response to the climate emergency that London needs to become net zero by 2030. And a big part of the city's emissions are from commercial and non-domestic buildings. So that means we need to retrofit around 26,000 non-domestic buildings each year. To start this off, we've launched the Business Climate Challenge, which is a voluntary energy efficiency program for businesses to participate in that. And through that, there is the support and advice to help businesses understand how they can reach that 2030 target. There's tons of benefits to being part of the project, and as we're sort of evangelizing, getting involved in the net zero agenda. Next slide, please. So with this round of the Business Climate Challenge, we're looking to in total recruit up to 250 businesses. Each of them, by joining the programme, will commit to a target of achieving at least a 10% reduction in their energy usage within 1 year. And by becoming part of that, you'll then get recognition as a leading green business, with recognition from the Mayor and from the GLA and also amongst your peers and business partners. Next slide, please, Abby. Whizzing through these. So as part of this programme, there's 3 pillars to that. There's the challenge that involves businesses volunteering to take part in that, committing to their 10% reduction in year 1. By becoming part of that, you'll receive a free energy audit from our technical partners, Turner & Townsend and WSP. That will help you to identify means of saving energy in your building to reach those 2024 year 1 reduction targets. We're primarily in the pilot, and we're continuing this, we're primarily focusing on medium-sized businesses in the commercial sector, but it is open to a wide range of businesses. There's support through that, as I said. There's the energy audits, the walkthrough of your buildings for you to understand and to communicate with others within the building what needs to take place. And we'll also be running a series of cohort-wide trainings for the businesses that take part, for you to get a better understanding of what measures you can take on, how to go about installing measures, and specific things for potentially the sector that you're working in. As a result of that, you'll go live on the london.gov web pages and get recognition from the Mayor Sadiq Khan. You'll be able to promote your involvement in the Business Climate Challenge through social media and get the acknowledgement of being a Business Climate Challenge workplace. Next slide. So there's a number of quite clear and obvious benefits with the rising energy prices of joining up to the challenge. The 10% reduction will obviously help you to reduce your energy costs quite substantially as the prices are rising. But through this, the kind of invaluable part is you'll get access to free, high quality support and advice from our partners, as well as becoming part of the challenge and the wider cohort. You'll have access to peers who are looking to do the same things as you, and we're really here to foster that kind of sharing of knowledge between businesses, and so that people can learn from one another. And it also helps us to, as policymakers at the GLA, to understand what are the challenges that we need to tackle to help businesses get to the 2030 targets. Energy efficiency has a range of benefits for the workplace. It can, as well as helping to reduce your energy consumption, it can mean better quality inside the building in terms of thermal comfort, temperature, better lighting. You'll also be recognised as supporting basically the greatest challenge facing humanity at the moment, and get recognition for that. And we also think that that's the way of attracting talent to your businesses, as people wish to be part of businesses who are part of the solution, and are keen to work for forward-thinking businesses. I'll quickly hand over to Juliana, who will tell us a bit about the predecessor to the Climate Challenge Scale Up.
Thank you, Greg, and it is great to see everyone here. So as Greg mentioned, I work for Bloomberg Associates Sustainability Team, and we're a pro bono municipal public sector consulting firm. So we work with city governments, supporting them on the design and implementation of policies and programs. And we've been working with the GLA for the past 5 years in a range of projects, and one of which is the Business Climate Challenge. And so in February of last year, the GLA launched the Business Climate Challenge pilot, drawing on learnings from successful similar challenges and programs in cities around the world. So we helped on the design phase of the pilot, as well as the implementation, and now also the scaled up 2022 version. And so if we can go to the next slide, please. So the pilot program worked with 19 businesses in the Better Bankside Business Improvement District. So Better Bankside acted as a business engagement partner and focused on the recruitment of these businesses. And then they received technical support, as Greg mentioned, to reduce their energy consumption by 10% in a year. And then the energy consultants that gave this technical support were Turner and Townsend. And so I'm going to talk a bit about the findings from the pilot. So the results showed high potential for energy and cost savings that could be achieved by businesses at a low cost. So results from the first 9 months of the program showed that participants reduced their energy consumption by 16% on average. So they exceeded their 10% energy reduction target, and they saved about £8,300 in energy costs. So this is one of the crucial aspects of the program. We know that as energy prices continue to rise, this is very important for businesses to make sure that they are operating as efficiently as possible. Then also, of course, we have the environmental benefits of reducing the energy consumption. So cohort-wide, the businesses reduced their emissions by 213 tons of CO2 and accrues their cost savings of about £100,000. And so the program recommendations that the technical support consultants give focus on low-cost actions and like the quick wins that they can implement in their workplaces, as well as deeper retrofits. And so something that is crucial is that more than half of participants could meet or exceed the 10% energy reduction target by implementing energy efficiency measures with an average cost of £3,800. So these are the results that we saw from the pilot, and we are following a similar design for the scaled-up version because we heard a lot of great things about and positive feedback from pilot participants, and we saw like these results that participants exceeded their energy reduction target. And if we can go to the next slide, please. So we held focus groups as well as surveys and different one-to-one conversations with participants to see what their experience had been with the pilot. And they mentioned that they highly valued the bespoke nature of the program. And so some of the benefits that they reported were that the BCC was very useful to focus their sustainability efforts on estate energy efficiency, so how they can reduce their energy consumption of their workplace. And this has been super important because we know that businesses are doing great efforts, are taking great action, doing their climate plans, sustainability plans, but the BCC was able to provide concrete actions that they could take to reduce their workplace energy emissions. And as Greg mentioned, this is one of the building emissions are one of the main sources of carbon emissions in London. And so through the program, businesses were able to target those emissions from their workplace. The second benefit that businesses mentioned was that the recommendation report, because it was very bespoke to the operations of each of the workplaces, was very useful in gaining board support for the implementation of energy efficiency actions, and also to identify likely suppliers who could implement these. And so the recommendation report that is provided to businesses focuses not only on the potential energy savings that each of the measures that they can take have, it also focuses on the energy reductions, the carbon reductions that they could have, as well as the cost reductions and payback periods of implementing different measures. So it really provides that complete evidence of what are going to be the environmental and cost benefits of the program. And then the BCC also worked to upskill the staff from businesses, so it increased their staff's understanding of building energy use, their energy conservation measures as well. So we focused on 2 trainings last year with the pilot participants. The first one was for facilities managers on how to assess their energy data. And so this was crucial because when they went through the process of the training, then a lot of them told us that from that training onwards, they continued to assess their own energy data and see, for example, where there were spikes in energy consumption at hours where there shouldn't be electricity that was on, and they were able to troubleshoot and take action to reduce their energy consumption. And we also had another training on behavior change to see how we can encourage the staff that are working at the office to take more energy efficiency action and those nudges and how to encourage behavior change. And the fourth key benefit was that the one-to-one discussions that participants had with the consultants helped the participants turn their ideas into tangible steps to implement recommendations. So after participants received the report, they had one-to-one support from Turner and Townsend, and then they guided them in case they didn't understand something from the report, or how they could distill those recommendations into concrete step-by-step actions to implement energy efficiency measures. And so I'll leave it to Greg, who's going to talk about this 2022 scale-up. I think you're muted, Greg.
I thought I'd learned my lesson by now after years of Teams meetings and Zoom. So I'll just talk briefly about the BCC journey, which Maria will talk to you more in detail. So we're in the recruitment stage. We're looking to get our 250 businesses together. You can now apply to the Business Climate Challenge. We will be making selections based on our eligibility criteria, which is fairly flexible. I'll talk about that in a second. And then after that process, businesses who are selected and onboarded, you'll then get your building audit, which out of that you'll get the recommendations report, and you'll be asked to contribute any monthly energy meter reading data to the challenge so that we can monitor your progress going forward. There's also the opportunity for building businesses that have smart meters installed that you can share your data with through IOGen, and that will automatically get uploaded to our platform. And then at the end of that, we will give recognition to all the businesses who have taken part, and particularly those who have succeeded to make the 10% reduction or have gone significantly beyond that. Next slide, please, Abby. So just briefly to explain the structure of this, as we're in the pilot, we had 19 businesses. We're now scaling this up to 250 businesses. And we previously worked with Better Bankside, who are a business improvement district.
I've lost Greg there.
Yes, I think we also lost him.
Juliana, would you be able to step
in
to deliver the perfect, thank you.
Definitely. So as Greg was explaining, the pilot focus of 19 businesses and the business engagement partner was Better Bankside. And so we're following a similar model, but this time we're working with more business engagement partners. So Camden Climate Change Alliance with the Consortium partners are going to be a business engagement partner who are going to recruit the 50 businesses from their membership. And as well, we have 8 other business engagement partners, which are business improvement districts or climate change alliances, who are going to recruit a cohort of between 20 to 50 businesses. And so business engagement partners will focus on the recruitment and engagement throughout the Business Climate Challenge for participants. And then the GLA are the ones that are doing the overall program management. I will have Turner and Townsend, who were the technical consultants for the pilot program, in a consortium with WSP, providing that technical support to the businesses, as well as reporting the findings and results and progress from each of their cohorts businesses to each of the business engagement partners. And I see that Greg has been able to come back. So Greg, I was just explaining the structure briefly, but I'll leave you to continue with it.
I'm very sorry for the Wi-Fi outage just then briefly. So thanks, Juliana. As I'm sure Juliana's explained, we now have 9 business partners in the project, and okay, we'll move on to the eligibility criteria. So we have been primarily focusing on medium businesses in the commercial sector with office space, but we're also open to businesses in the hospitality and retail sector. So please do apply, and we will look to see whether we have the technical support that is suitable for your businesses. The main criteria is that businesses have the ability to influence energy use in their businesses. So we're recognizing that businesses are not always the owners of the buildings in which they occupy. We're keen to have businesses who can demonstrate that they have both the buy-in to the project from their landlord as well as themselves as a business. Obviously, you'll need access to energy meter readings within your building, preferably for the part of the building that you occupy. And obviously, this is the business climate challenge, so this is for commercial, non-public sector businesses, as I said, with a focus on office spaces, but also retail, hospitality and industrial and mixed use spaces. Ideally, this is for medium-sized enterprises, so 50 to 240 employees, but we will consider all sizes. We also recognise that since COVID, a lot of people's working patterns have changed. So we're looking really for businesses that have kind of are occupied spaces with around 50 full-time equivalent employees in and around the building. That's it from me. The next slide is on the application and onboarding process, but I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Maria Spiru from Turner and Townsend, who are part of the program delivery unit with WSP. Thanks, Abigail.
Thanks, Greg. Maria, do you want me to skip to the beginning of kind of your slide deck, or do you want to pick it up from here?
I think this is just an important slide to understand the application for businesses and the kind of steps that they should be taking to become part of the program. I think on my slide deck I just have it slightly differently. So I think this is an important step for businesses to understand that that's a kind of all. I don't want to go through every single text line in there, but you pretty much apply on a link that Camden Climate Alliance should be able to provide to you. We'll then review the application in the background and we'll notify you as a business whether you've been successful to be part of the program. And then from there on, we'll confirm that you are part of the program, and we just ask you to nominate 2 contacts that can take part, and also commit that you're happy to do the best you can to reduce the energy use within the next 12 months. We'll send you a welcome pack that will have a lot more information about the program, and then we'll organise an onboarding session as well. So if you move on to my slide deck, I think that will, so just maybe taking a step back and understanding what the project delivery unit is made out of as such. So there are 3 key partners in the project delivery unit, and we have distinct areas between us, but we all also work really well together. So we have WSP providing the technical support. Thank you, Mark, for joining. I think we'll be sharing the slides and the recording afterwards, isn't it? So that you can have a look if you want to. So in terms of the technical support, so WSP as the key technical partner will be delivering a lot of the technical support. Turner and Townsend are currently doing program management, but we're also providing some of the technical support. Having 250 organizations, we need a lot more people on the ground than the pilot. And this year, we're also bringing another improvement with the IOGen platform. I think Juliana mentioned earlier about how the participants in the pilot found the data session really important for them to understand what their energy data is telling them. So we are actually bringing that at the beginning of the program now. It will be one of the first things we ask you to do. In terms of the contacts, you'll have those further down the line, so I don't need to go through who we are, but we are the PDU and we're here to support you. So no matter who you contact from the PDU, we'll have the same details about the program, and therefore, we'll be giving you a seamless service. If you go to the next slide, this is one we've seen before. I just wanted to remind you. So I'll take us through the journey. I'll try and do that quickly because I know we're running a bit behind. So if you go to the next slide, this is all about the onboarding. So we've talked about the application. Let's just imagine that you got your letter. You're currently in the program. So as I said, you'll receive a welcome pack. There will be an introduction to the program, and then we'll give you more details about the process, contact details, and the technical support details. We'll give you details of a welcome session, so that will allow you to meet us, meet the PDU. You also meet other participants and start forming that cohort of businesses. We'll also send you something like a memorandum of understanding, just so that you understand what it is you're receiving from us, but also what it is that we are expecting from you. It'll be simple things like we need 2 people's contact details so that we can stay in touch if someone moves on or whatever it might be. We've got 2 contact details, and also you allowing us to use your data and analyze your energy data so that we can provide the service. We'll also send you a link to an onboarding form. This is similar to the application form. It will be in the same format and portal, but the idea there is that we get a bit more information about your building. Things like, is your building heated by electricity or gas, if you know, and then also if you know your meter number, what is your meter number? And if you don't, if you have some energy bills that you can send through, then we'll collect all of that information and put it onto our platform. If you have a smart meter, we will be asking you to sign a letter of authority. That allows us to get your smart meter data directly from your supplier, so you don't actually need to do anything. Your data will flow straight onto our platform, and that way you can go to this platform and look at your data rather than having to log on to your supplier's portal or ask them for an Excel spreadsheet. That then is just a massive spreadsheet that you need to figure out yourself how to read. If we move on to the next slide, please. So at the end of this onboarding session, you will have a better understanding of the program and our joint responsibilities. You will have access to this online portal so that you can view your data, and you will have met a cohort of like-minded businesses that are also taking part. Next slide, please. So after the onboarding, we'll be moving on to the building analysis, and that's the next slide. So in the building analysis step, we will initially do a remote assessment. So the team will go through the data that you have already provided, either through the form or through the energy data platform, in order to understand how your building is currently performing. That will inform the auditor as to what things they need to look at when they are actually carrying out the building energy audit. One of us will then be in touch with you to arrange a date for your building audit. We'll give you some dates that might work for you, and then we'll organise that day, at the time that's convenient for both. And during the building audit, we'll have a conversation with you about your building. We'll get to know you and how your business is operating. You might not be doing a 9 to 5, you might be doing an 8 to 4, or you might be operating at different hours. So we need to understand that. And then we'll take a walk through the whole building with you, a representative of your business, to understand the building. In that step, we'll need access to areas like a plant room or a roof, or whatever it might be that you have. It might just be a cupboard, it depends. In terms of the recommendation report, so following on from the building audit, and we'll try and turn this around within 6 weeks. That's the SLA we've given ourselves. So within 6 weeks of you having your building audit, you'll receive a recommendation report. And what we're trying to do there is to explain your building back at you. So we're kind of playing your building back at you, but we're also giving you ideas about what projects you could be doing, what recommendations you could be taking forward, how much they will cost, but also what the benefit will be for your business. And at the end of that report, there is a bit of a roadmap to show you, if you do those actions, where is that going to live you? And we're making some upgrades into that roadmap as well from last year to make it clearer to understand. The walkthrough meeting, so that's after we've given you the recommendation report. So we'll draft it, we'll check it between us, we'll make sure that all the numbers line up, and then we'll send it to you. At the same time that we're sending it to you, we'll ask you for a date and time where we can come and present it to you. I'll ask you to read the recommendation report because before we come in and have this meeting, because this meeting will then be your opportunity to ask questions. You can focus on whichever part of the report you prefer. Some people last year preferred the net zero part of it, and they were asking us questions about the wider sustainability areas. Other people wanted to focus on specific projects, for example, solar panels. What do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? Or they might have already had a quote and we were going through that with them. The support will be available to you throughout the program. So we are setting up an inbox so that you can email us with any questions, concerns you might have, or any issues. You can email that support inbox and one of us will respond. Next slide, please. I think this is just a summary slide. So at the end of this step, you will have a better understanding of your building. You'll have a clear idea of what actions you can take to reduce your building's carbon emissions, and you will have attended some training on some of the key topics. We're still finalizing exactly what the training will involve, but the first one will definitely be on data. And I've just included the quote from Andrew there because he was so very kind, and he's taken everything that we've taught him and he's discovering and learning as he goes on. So I think that's a great quote from him. Next slide, please. So that is, it just goes back to the business action. So the following slides just has the description of what the actions we're expecting you to do. So if you just move us on, Abby. Great. So on this, on the business action, so we've given you a recommendation report, we've given you costed assumptions about how much things will cost you. So we're kind of asking you to then do something about it. They might be free or cheap actions that you can take, but there might also be some higher cost actions. We're not expecting you to spend a specific amount of money or do a specific action out of them all. Would like you to do as many actions as you feel comfortable with so that you can try and reach that 10% reduction. I think a lot of the participants last year found that they could take a lot of these actions, let's say for free. For example, Andrew there, I know it's the same picture Greg used, but what Andrew did that was really, really impressive was that he took all of the learning. So he took the energy data training that we gave him. He then took his own building. He understood the BMS on his building, and then he made changes to the BMS and then monitored the energy data to see what effect those changes were having to the building. And that actually allowed him to save more energy and earlier than everyone else because he was doing it whilst we were still delivering that process. We will still be there to provide support. That inbox will still be open. You can reach back to your specific energy auditor, or you can reach back to the central support. Any questions you might have, just use us as your phone a friend. We're there. We're here to help. just ask us anything. No question is a bad question. And the IOGEN portal will also be live and operational through the program. It will allow you to monitor your consumption and understand how you're performing. And if you are one of the businesses that has a manual meter, it will be sending you a reminder every month to remind you to go and take a meter reading. I think we've got one more slide. Yeah, so just results and recognition. So if we just move on to the last one, Abby. So I think we've talked about the results and recognition. I don't think I need to say any more. I think Greg described what we're planning as results and recognition. So I'll leave it at that. I think that's it from me.
Great, thank you so much for that, Maria. I feel like it's been really beneficial to really clearly see how that participant journey kind of spans out over the next sort of year or so. And thanks so much, Greg and Juliana, for taking us through sort of the programme details. Just to kind of sort of add a little bit more to kind of what Maria was talking about in terms of the recommendation report, and just to touch a little bit on funding support and actually kind of thinking about how some of those actions could be turned sort of actually into kind of being tangibly delivered. So I wanted to speak very briefly, because I appreciate there's been lots of information to kind of take on board today. So I really just kind of want to put this out there, and again, we can revisit it later on once we've kind of onboarded applicants to the challenge. But yes, briefly, what is the Camden Climate Fund? So the Camden Climate Fund is financed by Camden's carbon offset payments, and these are collected through Camden's planning system when there's any developments that are taking place in Camden where the mayor's carbon targets are not met on site. So we have a pot of funding that we can then use to be able to kind of finance projects across the borough, and we do that through various different streams. So we work to support residents with kind of delivering retrofit within their homes. Again, we work with businesses. That's a really important stream, especially here, where we can support those retrofit upgrades. And we also work really closely with communities and community groups to be able to deliver those energy efficiency projects locally. So yeah, we set up the fund in 2017, and that was really sort of the response to these carbon offset payments that were being made, and how we could actually offset that locally. So the fund can provide up to 50% of the cost of measures, and there is a match fund requirement by the applicant. So just really briefly to talk a little bit about the business fund in particular. So up to £10,000 is available through the business grant that we offer, and that is to cover up to 50% of the cost. So your ceiling would be £10,000. So if you have a project, for example, worth a value of £25,000, the contribution from the Camden Climate Fund would be at a maximum of £10,000. Again, this is to support renewable technologies and energy efficiency improvements. We've got some of those listed there under the eligible measures, but again, the idea is that sort of other measures will be considered as outlined in the recommendation report. So we're really kind of looking to marry up those suite of services that are being provided by WSP, Turner & Townsend, and being able to kind of sort of take those forward and actually deliver those within your buildings. There is some kind of eligibility criteria there, but again, I won't run through that. I don't want to overwhelm with lots of different criteria, because I know we've covered a lot today, but I just really wanted to kind of outline that there will be this funding available for participants moving through the Business Climate Challenge, and we will have a dedicated stream that is set up in the coming months, but we will be sharing that opportunity with those applicants that are accepted onto the programme. I think I've actually realised I've missed out my Q&A slide, so I will close down my slide so I can see who has joined us on the screen here, which is lovely. It's great to see so many people. I think, Gemma, did we receive any questions during the... I can see we've received quite a few. Gemma, should I just hand over to you and sort of you can direct some of these questions if they've not already been answered in the chat?
Yeah. So I guess the main question was from Mark before he left the call, but that was about retrofitting grade 2 listed buildings and the experience that the previous participants in the BCC have had with that. I think he noted that it can be quite difficult sometimes to get the right permissions. So I'm just wondering if, anyone from Turner & Townsend, WSP, or even GLA can shed some experience for Mark on retrofitting Grade 2 listed buildings.
Sorry, took a minute to unmute there. I'll take that one on behalf of the technical team. So the support we provide will be bespoke to each building that takes part in the pilot. So if there are specific issues with a listed building, we'll take that into account and we'll suggest or make recommendations about where we can help and where that might be outside of our remit. We currently don't have any architects in the team, so we might struggle with external changes to the building, but we'll be able to suggest measures that might fall outside of the planning restrictions.
Thanks, Maria. Just noting a comment there from Ben at Doughty Street that they've just been through the process as well, so there may be some shared learnings that can happen with other members. Just looking through the other questions were more about will the slides be available, recording be available? Of course, yes, CCA will be sending them around following the event. And there was just some other comments in terms of previous people's experiences up above. Just looking at Sarah from Somerstown Community Association, who would like to know, okay, so they are a charity and a limited company, and they've got 2 buildings, but they only have 30 staff. Is it worth them applying? Is that a question to go to Juliana or Greg in terms of eligibility of a charity limited company with 30 staff?
Yeah, I was going to answer, but Joanna's just put her hand up, so
you go for it, Greg, and I'll hop in if I have more to add.
Okay. Well, firstly, I'll just say that the application, we've made it as quite easy for businesses to go about entering in the application form. We'd recommend that they do apply. We'll be considering them against other businesses in the cohort to see how suitable they are. But certainly we want to help as many businesses as possible. And if they meet more of the other criteria and can demonstrate that they have a need to reduce their energy consumption because they are high consumers, then we'd certainly be interested in having them as a participant. Joanna, have you got anything to add?
No, I think, agree with Greg. So we have charities on our 21 Business Climate Challenge. So the one that springs to mind is the Bridge. And they had, I think, 10 staff, but the buildings that they occupy have even more spaces. So yeah, the number of staff and the fact that you're a charity, all fine, please apply. And yeah, we'd love to have you.
Fantastic, that's great. Hopefully that's answered your question, Sarah. We've just got a comment from Ben here again, asking about finding reliable companies to do the works in a reasonable time period. Can anyone here recommend good companies for air source heat pumps, LED fittings and solar? Maria, I guess, is this something that you'll be able to help businesses with when they apply and go through the process?
It is something we're discussing, and it was something we found in the pilots as well, that it was the biggest hurdle last year was that exact thing, that businesses were struggling to find organizations to support them. So we are putting together we call it a how-to guide, but we're putting together a guide on organizations that can look at. We are not able to recommend a specific business, but we'll be able to recommend certification bodies that have then lists of organizations that are certified by those bodies. And I think we're working wider with the GLA to find a solution for that and support the sector.
Great stuff. Yeah, I guess, does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. We've got a little bit of time left, haven't we, Abigail? So we can leave it a couple of minutes for people to insert any more questions for us.
Thanks for reviewing those questions, Gemma. I mean, just a couple of comments sort of on the session. I think it's been really, really useful, and it's again helpful to just kind of hear all this information again as a business engagement partner, and really what sort of supports us with kind of handling these queries as we're in this recruitment phase and engaging with lots of different businesses, because I think one of the areas that we've seen lots of queries come through is specifically around this criteria, where perhaps some organizations feel they meet some but not all of the criteria, but I think it's been quite helpful to hear today that, you know, there is flexibility within that, and sort of if in doubt, it's probably worth submitting an application. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flash up one last slide on the screen, because when I can find it, let's have a look. Just to sort of make reference to the fact that we do have a dedicated mailbox for all queries relating, well, all Camden specific queries relating to the Business Climate Challenge. So we would encourage you to contact this inbox in the first instance, and if you're also liaising with any one of the bid leads that we're in the consortium with, please feel free to copy them in. It's great to hear, Maria, that obviously there's going to be a dedicated mailbox sort of for participants sort of once they're in that program journey. So it sounds like this is sort of a first port of call where we can field those initial queries during recruitment, and then for those successful businesses, we can obviously then kind of, they'll be signposted through that participant journey and be able to kind of liaise directly with those with the team working closely with them. I just want to sort of extend my thanks to Greg, Juliana, Maria, and also Joanna for joining us. I didn't see you, Joanna, when you joined, because I'd already had my slides up on the screen, so I had limited accessibility to who I could actually see. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really fantastic to kind of be talked through the programme, talked through the participant journey, and also brilliant to see that we've got, you know, so many people on this call, given it's August, it's holidays, it's usually kind of a really difficult time to pin people down. And we are already receiving applications, which is great to see, and some of those already are on this call. So really kind of showing how engaged some of our members are, which is brilliant. As sort of Gemma said, and we've covered in the chat function, the slides will be shared afterwards. We have recorded the session, so we can refer back to this as a resource, because I think it is a really useful resource that we can signpost to. But yeah, we'll be following up with all of that, and I hope it's been useful for everyone. But thanks again for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
All.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.